The big idea that I'd like to share with you all today begins with the concept that our aspirations for human development all start with the fundamental questions of our human nature, our deepest feelings about human nature. And these are practical questions as well as theoretical exercises. They're practical because when you, as researchers, develop activities or research programs or develop instruments or think about designing international policy, we come back to the question of what a human being is and what a human being is for. I myself think about this every single day as a parent, and this is a picture of my sons Henry and Sammy, and as parents we think about choices of education, using technology in the home, discipline, which I have to think about on occasion with these two characters. And so these practical questions come out all the time as well. So today I'm going to argue that the concept of character development offers a timely concept and framework to think about progress in human relationships. I've spent my career working in technologies, particularly in global health and development, and we've seen tremendous progress in global health and development over the past 20 years. This photo that I'm showing here is from a polio vaccine campaign, and in 2018, only 22 cases of polio were reported. Only a generation ago, parents considered polio to be one of the greatest scourges of humanity. And this program, as well as many other programs in childhood immunization, have led to the massive reduction in childhood deaths, particularly over the past 20 years. Childhood deaths are 1/4 of what they were only 20 years ago. These gains are not just in health, also in education-related metrics around the world, whether it's access to primary school, whether it's student-teacher ratios, or government expenditures in education. IQ is also steadily improving. There will be, by 2040, double the number of college graduates than there are today. So that means SRCD will be twice as big in just a few years' time. However, when it comes to the area of human relationships, we have great cause for concern. Inter-individual trust is at an all-time low. The rates of loneliness in the United States, 40% of adults in the United States experience severe loneliness on a daily basis. Suicide is now the second leading cause of death amongst youth worldwide. And so my question and my challenge to you is to ask, can we make the same kinds of gains that we've seen in health and development and education in the area of human relationships? And I think we can. I was very inspired by this program called the Friendship Bench. This was a concept that was first conceptualized by a local psychiatrist in Zimbabwe, and he was concerned about the lack of accessible mental health services in his country. And so to address this challenge, he placed these benches outside of health clinics and trained lay health workers to talk to women as they came to seek health services. This is a great example because it uses social infrastructure as opposed to technological infrastructure to solve problems. In a randomized control trial that was completed only a few years ago, this Friendship Bench program reduced depression threefold after 6 weekly sessions, and is now diagnosed and treated over 50,000 individuals. It's equivalent to kind of a pharmacologic intervention, in fact. So this program, there might be hundreds of other programs or innovations just like this that are waiting to be discovered and worked upon around the world. So this inspired us at the Templeton World Charity Foundation to launch the Global Innovations for Character Development Initiative. You can find us at globalcharacter.org. It's an initial commitment of $20 million over 5 years, and we're committing to fund at least 30 scientifically sound innovations for improving character strengths, particularly in low and middle income countries. We define character strength as learned or learnable attributes, skills, habits that enable individuals to lead better, more fulfilling and more prosperous lives. It's similar to the concept of soft skills or non-cognitive skills or socio-emotional capabilities, but character strengths are grounded in an overall moral or ethical framework. We launched an initial call for proposals last year, and we're very delighted in the response. Over 150 applications from 50 countries, more Spanish-speaking applications from Spanish-speaking countries than English-speaking countries, even though the applications were written in English. And today we're delighted to announce the first 14 projects in Latin America, in Sub-Saharan Africa, and in Asia. These projects will work on some of the more typical character strengths that you may know of, like empathy or wisdom or gratitude or generosity or compassion. But importantly, we are open to and demand context-specific character strengths. So a good example is a program in Tanzania working on a local virtue called utu. And these are the kind of context-specific expressions of what universal human relationships should look like. Nearly all of these projects will focus on children and youth. So in this initial cohort of 14, more than 10,000 children will be reached. We are measuring very deeply and care very deeply about the measurement of the expression of these character strengths in these settings. But importantly, we're not just stopping there. We're linking these character strengths to other outcomes like mental health, like education, and productivity. So linking these relational attributes to other things that are very important. Another really exciting part of this initiative is the fact that we fund low and middle income country researchers directly. A recent report from the Council of Foundations details that when US foundations work internationally, 90% of those funds are channeled through an intermediary. And this program takes a radical, different approach where we are funding researchers directly and empowering them to make decisions about their programs in their own contexts. So whether it's working with a group at the University West Indies in Barbados, or in Sri Lanka, or a nonprofit organization in Tanzania, we're funding those institutions directly. They are then setting up collaborations with other institutions around the world. And so we think that's a unique part of this program. I'll end here to first talk about what I believe one of the most exciting areas that we find within this field, and that's the area of forgiveness. Martin Luther King talked about forgiveness as a weapon of social redemption. It was something that an individual can do to transform a negative experience into a positive experience. And this has been an area of research pioneered by Professor Everett Worthington, who for 20 years has developed a model for forgiveness therapy. And that model has two major dimensions. One is a cognitive dimension, so using rational, cognitive, dispassionate faculties to commit to forgiving another. And the other dimension is the affective dimension. So using the whole person and the affective, emotional signaling that's important to our humanity to overcome a hurt. He calls this program the REACH, so you recall the hurt, empathize with the offender, give an altruistic gift of forgiveness, commit to that forgiveness, and hold on to it. This research has been trialed in a therapist settings in many different places, over 30 randomized control trials reviewed. And that this recent meta-analysis has shown that it's effective not only in helping individuals forgive, but also reducing anxiety and increasing hope. So we are funding a global rollout of this intervention in a workbook form, where global trials will be performed to investigate the efficacy of this REACH therapy. I'm just really excited about this from the point of view of biomedical research, that if this were a new medicine, a pharmacologic agent, it would already be through phase 3 trials and recommended to physicians around the world. The evidence is there, and we seek to play a catalyzing role in achieving scale. So the last thing that I'd like to say is just, fundamentally, I've seen progress happen in other areas, and I truly think we're at the dawn of a new era for human relationships, for how people find meaning, purpose, and truth in their lives, despite the concerning data. I think that research is really essential to do this, and innovation is really essential to do this. So that's why we've launched this GICD program. I'm very pleased to announce that round 2 of this program is now open. So you can go to globalcharacter.org and send this to all of your friends and colleagues around the world. Round 2 closes on August 26th, and please ask us questions, send it to your friends and colleagues, and we all, I think, hope we can start on a shared journey to achieving progress on these dimensions of human relationships that I know is possible. So thank you very much to the organizers from SRCD in inviting me today to share this news with you. Thank you.